Chile is a South American country along the western seaborder of the continent. It has a rich cultural history dating back centuries. Many attributes of its history are intermingled and have significant impacts on each other. The anthropological history of Chile has been influenced by many factors, including the Inca civilization and their relationship with the stars, religious practices of different cultures, and the Spanish invasion of Chile, all of which have continued influences on society today.
One area of anthropological significance for the Andean region, including the Atacama Desert, was astronomy. Given its excellent high-altitude environment providing one of the strongest stargazing settings in the world, this mountainous region provided its inhabitants with a special relationship to the cosmos throughout history. This relationship was enhanced by several factors. First, the lack of electricity prior to the industrial period deprived ancient civilizations of substantial artificial lighting, therefore limiting indoor productivity after sunset and creating greater reliance on natural light from the moon. Second, astronomy provided a natural calendar and indicator for agricultural purposes, which was important given the lack of weather forecasting tools and other scientific measures. Lastly, being located in the southern hemisphere provided locals a view of dark patches in the Milky Way galaxy during certain time periods of the year. Dr. Ricardo DeMarco of the Universidad de Concepcion described this phenomenon during our brief interview with him.
Yeah, so different people, they saw different patterns on the sky and in the Milky Way. We couldn't notice that clearly because it was moon, so it was kind of bright. But without the moon, if you look at the Southern Cross, that we saw, right? You remember the Southern Cross? Right next to it, there is a black patch in the sky, which is dust, right? Yes. But that patch is connected with some other darker patches of dust in our galaxy, in the Milky Way. That's very normal. And for some people, that distribution of dust resembles a llama, for example.
Yeah.
Or a serpent, right? It's the same thing, but different people see different objects or animals in the sky.
Right. The ancient peoples of this geographical area also granted the night sky particular prominence in religious and cultural affairs. Most notable among ancient civilizations in the area was the Incan Empire, a civilization that presided over the Andean mountain region between the 12th to 15th centuries.
The Inca Empire was the largest empire in pre-Columbian America, spanning all along the Andean mountain range from Colombia down to central Chile. As they conquered new areas, the Incas spread their beliefs and customs through methods of peaceful assimilation. While the Inca Empire was short-lived, lasting just shy of 100 years, the Inca were notoriously gifted in the areas of astronomy, engineering, and agriculture. In return for a tribute to the empire, the Inca improved and increased the use of the canal system in Chile. The more efficient canal systems allowed for a wider spread of agriculture and helped further develop pre-existing towns. The road system was one of the greatest feats of the Inca Empire and had one of the longest-lasting impacts on northern and southern Chile. They created the longitudinal Andean Inca Road, which was connected to roads in Argentina that crossed through the Andean water divide. This provided access to water to several mining districts and connected them to each other.
We are fortunate today that the empire provided extensive documentation between well-preserved ruins and remnants of Incan culture still appearing today, supplying us with knowledge about the empire's relationship to astronomy. The Inca tied their religious beliefs directly into celestial objects, worshiping gods representing the sun and the moon.
Inca religion focused on animistic beliefs, which is the belief that all objects, places, and creatures have a spirit. They also believed in nature worship, that certain objects had mystical powers, and worshipped multiple gods.
Inca leadership encouraged the worship of Inti, the sun god. Rulers believed themselves to be the son of the sun, and worship of the sun reflected its importance to the agricultural economy. Mama Kia was the female moon deity that was married to the masculine sun deity. The moon was particularly important to the Inca in calculating time, and many festivals were based on lunar cycles. One of the most important gods still worshipped today in some regions was Pachamama, or Mother Earth. She was associated with agriculture, and sacrifices were made in her honor to ensure a plentiful harvest.
The Spanish invaded and conquered Chile in the 16th century. Due to the fact that Spain was, and remains, a predominantly Catholic country, with their invasion they also began the conversion of Chileans to the Catholic faith. They used symbolic appropriation of religious spaces to eradicate traces of the Incas' religious practices by putting Catholic churches in places that the Incas deemed sacred. They did this with the knowledge that people would continue to return to the sacred land, despite the presence of a Catholic church. Their intent was that it would result in the conversion of the Incas. Ultimately, Chile did become a Catholic country.
Despite the brevity of the Incas' reign in Chile, they left an impact that can still be observed today. The influence of the Inca strengthened the native people's spiritual connection to the rivers and mountains and can still be experienced through traditions that survived the Spanish conversion to Catholicism.
Chile is still considered a Catholic country, and although the majority of the population practices the Catholic faith, some of their traditions do have some pagan roots. During large gatherings of families for meals, it is a common practice to serve a plate with everything from the table and bury it as an offering to Pachamama or Mother Earth. The Incas also believed that when someone died suddenly, their spirit would get lost, so they would build a shrine to help guide the spirit. These shrines can still be found throughout Chile. There are also festivals that have a combination of pagan and Catholic influences.
Each valley, there's on the high hills in the valley, there's crosses. So in May, there's a festivity, which is a Catholic festivity, but what they do is they send people to get these crosses. They put them together, they take it to the male valley, and they tie the crosses together. Then these crosses will be left in the church. And at night, they blindfold Jesus, the Virgin Mary, and all the saints, because those two crosses are supposed to copulate. You know? The next morning, there's a big carnival, there's a sacrifice of an animal. Those are then taken back to their valleys, and then that's to ensure like a good crop during the year. So you can see how you wouldn't understand where that real began. It's just like that syncretism. So you'll have a Catholic priest presiding over the ceremony, but when they sacrifice the animal, then he leaves, he walks away, and you get the shaman coming in to do that part. So you can see how they're blended in very well together.
There are some parallels between Catholic practices and Inca practices that can be noted, even though there is not a direct correlation. For example, different Inca towns would each have their own god, with the belief that one god would not have the time to look over everyone. This is parallel to Chilean cities today, because they each have their own patron saint, which can be viewed as a replacement of the Incas' deities. Although Chile is now Catholic, the Incas' religious practices can still be seen in certain Chilean traditions even today.
They also place cultural significance around astronomical events, such as the winter and summer solstice. To both celebrate and account for celestial movements, the Incans built temple-like structures which would cast particular shadows to mark a solstice event, a phenomenon well documented in the Machu Picchu ruins. This was also utilized for agricultural purposes, as Incas would build pillars in hillsides to determine appropriate crop planting conditions at different altitudes under different sun exposures. One attribute of the Incas' understanding of astronomy which made them unique was their identification of both light and dark constellations. As Dr. DeMarco described earlier, the large clouds of dust in the Milky Way galaxy formed shapes in the night sky, which Incas interpreted into different animal constellations. They believed that every animal was represented by constellations which protected and gave honor to that particular animal. An example of this was El Titi, or the puma-shaped constellation, which was significant for Andean inhabitants who connected the night stars with weather patterns, such as thunder, to explain their environment. These examples of cultural phenomena surrounding the cosmos demonstrates that the night sky views that northern Chileans may casually enjoy today was in fact a cultural staple and lifeblood for ancient inhabitants who relied on the stars for agricultural and supernatural guidance.
One interesting tradition that continues in Chile today is huacas, which are small stone rock piles that can be found along roads. Huaca is an ancient Inca religious concept referring to sacred rituals, the state of being after death, or any sacred object. Huacas can also mean spirits that inhabit physical objects, like these man-made shrines. They line travelers' paths and guide them on their way. We hope you have enjoyed this look at the anthropological and astrological history of Chile. We hope these huacas guide you on whatever journey it is that you are on.